There's a lot of recent videos that have come out about Ready or Not, icebergs, secret meanings, all this mad stuff about the game that you need to know. Because these people haven't been in the trenches, bro. They haven't even played the game. In this video, I will be sharing with you everything you need to know about the gameplay and the story without ruining it for you. So listen, buckle up, because this is going to be a mad episode. Hey, what's up? I'm Fitz. Welcome back to another episode in the Ready or Not series. But listen, this isn't like any other video I've done before. I've collaborated with KALE the Leaf to bring you all the things you need to know about Ready or Not. This game is mad, but I'm really thankful for KALE for helping me with this video. Now, to help you guys out with understanding the storyline, I've broken it down into three key parts: themes, delivery, depth, and connection. There are four main storylines that are delivered non-linearly across its base 18 missions. So it goes from mission 1 to mission 4 to mission 7. The four stories are the war, the exploited, the left behind, and the abducted. They all have their own themes, and the themes alone are quite serious and quite dark. If you want a fantastic deep dive into each mission's themes and details, check out KALE's video. I've left it in the description below. It really does go into the fine details and even gives you some information that I missed when I played through the series. Most games fall into categories of using gameplay to break up cinematic cutscenes like Call of Duty, or lean hard into the simulation and realism nature, but generally fall short on graphic quality, storyline, and overall execution. Ready or Not pulls no punches on the topics of its storylines, its realisms, and its ability to immerse you in an undeniably addictive experience. The four main story arches touch on very real themes that plague our world, and this game is clearly targeted for mature audiences, which is refreshing. Ready or Not doesn't shy away from realism in favor of cashing into a younger audience. Each of the four main themes are delivered in a gritty series of missions with its own unique challenges and issues that you need to manage and prepare for. Every mission is a kick in the chest with its realism and its ability to drag you deep down the rabbit hole of its story. I actively had to avoid thinking about the game so I wouldn't play it in my spare time. It's that addictive. The immersive stories, varying threat types, and tasks to complete in your mission, as well as scenes and landscapes you and your team manage, makes every mission feel fresh and requires different approaches each time. What is especially challenging is the location of suspects, victims, and other objectives move around the map. Very rarely will these be in the same location unless it needs to be, which always keeps you on your toes. In the mission A Lethal Obsession, there is doors that are booby-trapped. Being the genius that I am, I didn't check the doors properly several times and I paid the consequences. Details like this make the game feel unpredictable and doesn't feel like I simply need to memorize locations on the map to finish the game. The missions being non-linear keep you engaged, and they don't feel like they burn through the stories or drag on too long. The attention to detail starts from the outset of the mission's brief, which is where you will hear about the scenario you are about to handle, review additional resources like media, which can be photos, news articles, and gut-wrenching phone calls. Several phone calls carry this air of tension and realism and add to the story, providing context of the crimes, additional info, and honestly, sounds so real it sent shivers down my spine. This was especially evident in the mission Elephant. If you pay close attention to micro details in the game, you will see news articles, YouTube type videos, or other nods to connected missions in that respective story arc. Some missions like Sins of the Father have phone messages to victims where they add depth to the story that you probably won't get if you don't pay attention to them. The level of attention to detail is like no other game I've ever played. Speaking of detail, the level design and overall scenes and landscapes are top tier. In the mission Twisted Nerve, you are in a dark, dingy, abandoned house at night, and it is so dimly lit with sporadic lights throughout the house and the soft glow of a TV It adds to the creep factor, bro. Now that you have an idea about what Ready or Not is all about, let's get into the gameplay. Kicking off with the basics. Every mission begins the same way with a mission brief. The commander will discuss details about the mission to give you a feel for the types of threats you and your team will need to manage and the scene and landscapes you will have to navigate. Each mission is different, and even missions in the same storyline didn't feel like they tread on each other. Each was fresh with its own challenges, objectives, and details. Some missions I found had barely any details about the threats or layout of the area I was managing, that it reminds you how detailed and realistic this game is. In the mission brief, you will also be able to manage your squad of 4 with 2 in red team and 2 in blue team. Both can be commanded in gold team. You will have a full roster of 12 officers, with each having a trait which has its own benefits. The availability to grow your roster happens with completing missions at certain ranking standards. Early on, I found it difficult to manage squad availability because of the officer status, which escalates from content, anxious, stressed, and finally crisis. You can reset an officer's status by having them assigned to therapy with a maximum of 3 slots available for this, and it will take a total of 3 mission attempts to complete this. It's worth noting that some officers will automatically be assigned, and if they stay in a crisis or stressed status and go into a mission, they have a higher chance of making mistakes, quitting, or going to meet the man upstairs, if you catch my drift. In the description, there is a great Reddit link I found that helped me understand each officer's traits. They've all got their own sort of pros and cons, so give it a check and see how it can help you. The loadout function in Ready or Not is next level. There is so many weapons and tools available to you and your roster. You can get really detailed with this function with attachments and even rounds for your weapons. I found a lot of benefit in adjusting what my tactical was for that particular mission because it varied so much. In the mission Valley of the Dolls, the mirror gun was a big benefit. Being set in a mansion, there's lots of smaller segments of rooms and offshoot spaces. It helped massively to be able to look under the doors. You are also equipped with a taser. Honestly, I tried to use it and it just really wasn't great for me. Mastering commands is a game changer. Once I got my head around the mechanics of the commands, it elevates the amount of control you have of not just your team, but also the space around you. When your squad is taking control of an area, there is a number of commands available to you to minimize your exposure to threats. The easiest way I can explain it is to think of it as breaching and clearing. Breaching is the actions of how you enter a room, including how you address the door, if there is one. A door can be opened by commanding your team. If it's locked, you can pick the lock or use breaching options like kicking the door down, shotgun blast to the lock, or a C2 charge to blow it off its hinges. It's important to know what's on the other side of the door because there can be booby traps or dirty, rotten scoundrels waiting for you. You can use my personal favorite, the mirror gun, to look under the door and over tall objects. You can also have your team check doorways using the peek, slide, or pie scans. There is also door wedge, which can be used to keep doors open or closed to minimize nasty surprises. When clearing rooms, you can deploy various tools like flashbangs, stingers, or gas to your advantage. If you're taking heavy fire and are equipped or have a squad member armed with a riot shield, that can be a literal lifesaver. Managing spaces can be done by commanding your squad to provide cover or fall into different shapes like single file, double file, diamond, and wedge. When you have a suspect or civilian that is following your commands, you can avoid exposing you or your team in dangerous areas by giving them locations to move to. I learned this late and I wish I knew it earlier, so don't make my mistake. Once restrained, they can be picked up and carried to a safer spot. In the unfortunate event that an officer or civilian is downed, you or your team can report this to TAC, and once the threats are removed, make sure you search and secure every room. Now, depending on how you play the game, in my opinion, you've got 2 different styles to lead your team. You have the leader style where you're out in the front of the pack, breaching doors and controlling the spaces, or you have a commanding style like the one I use. organizing the squad to take action on rooms, scanning thresholds, etc. No particular style is better, but there is one that works best for you. Hey Kale, tell me what you think of Ready or Not.
Ready or Not, over time, has become one of my favorite games. I always loved the way the game wasn't afraid to show the unapologetic truth of our society. Or, at least it was, anyway. When I first played the game, it was purely out of my desire for a realistic shooter game. Of course, I had played plenty of those before, but the concept of Ready or Not always stood out to me. Instead of a game where you mindlessly shoot anything that moves, Ready or Not creates an experience where every single thing needs to be examined, interpreted, and acted upon. And that concept seemed thrilling, and it certainly was, but there was also something else the game offered that I didn't expect. And that was the pure horror of it. And I know everyone likes to talk about the horror of the disturbing scenes in the game, including myself, but that's not what I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about the actual terror of the gameplay. And with that, I'd like to talk about my favorite level in the game, Sins of the Father. If there were ever an FPS level that scared the britches off of me, it would be this one. The level takes place in the Clemente Hotel, which is an upper-class hotel filled with beautiful, expensive architecture. The inside of the hotel feels so uninviting. Despite the warm lighting, everything feels so cold. There's marble flooring, jagged edges, and imposing decorations. But perhaps most unsettling is the soundtrack. It is genuinely horrifying hearing this as you move through the building, and that, combined with Ready or Not's stressful gameplay, creates a truly terrifying experience. And the great thing about Ready or Not is that this is unique. The diversity in Ready or Not's levels continues to amaze me. Where one level you might be walking through a horrifying dark hotel, in another you could be in a barn in the middle of the desert. You could then find yourself on a yacht or in a hospital. Every level in Ready or Not is leaps and bounds different from the last. It's easy to get into the same cycle of gameplay, but it's just as easy to switch things up. To me, the most fun part of the game is getting to look at what level I'm about to play and prepare accordingly. If I'm playing on a map with a lot of hostiles, I'll bring in a lot of ammo. I'll wear steel plates. Is the map dark? Bring night vision. Are the suspects wearing armor? Bring armor-piercing rounds. If the map is filled with long-range encounters, I'll bring the M14, but if there are constant hallways and small rooms, maybe a smaller rifle would work better. And perhaps most importantly, what kind of outfit should I wear? This has no effect on gameplay, but as I'll always say, drip comes first, no matter what. I have spent a considerable amount of time customizing my gear in this game. So to answer your question, Fids, what are my hints and tips on the game? Always, no matter what, value drip over practicality. Because if I'm dead, I want them to find my body with a fire-ass fit on it.
Warning, warning, drip too severe, danger imminent.
Sorry guys, I had to relax with the drip, bro. I nearly broke my setup. Now let me give you my hints and tips that you need to know to get the most out of the game. Pay close attention to the mission brief. You need to make sure you look at the map, you understand what types of officer traits you're gonna need, even loadout information that's gonna help you, and that media segment is gonna give you a lot of detail. Sometimes about the suspects and what they look like, but also about where civilians are located. So make sure you take it all in. Number 2, be strategic with your clearance. Brother, I can't stress this enough. Whenever you're going through rooms, I generally try to orchestrate it in my clearing in an orderly fashion. Don't bounce around with clearing different rooms. Control your level of exposure by closing doors or leaving doors open when you need to. Pie or scan at base minimum every single door, and use doors and chem lights as bookmarks to help you understand what rooms you've cleared and what rooms you haven't. You don't want to waste time, bro. And last but not least, use your team. When I say it took me way too long to figure this out, that is an understatement. Whether you are using a leading style or a commander style in your navigating of these challenges, you need to make sure that you use your team strategically, allowing yourself to minimize the level of exposure that your team has and that you have is going to help you get the job done quicker, smoother, and with less incidents of people leaving this earth realm if you get what I'm saying, bro. At the end with your mission ranking, the biggest contributors to deduction in your performance generally has to do with things like unnecessary force of civilians or suspects, not securing all the weapons and not securing all the civilians and suspects in the area, and also by losing officers on the job. Now you can control this by minimizing your exposure, using your team to scan and search the rooms, making sure that you're picking up all of the weapons. And again, it goes back to the second point. Just being strategic in your overall approach, bro, like it's gonna make your life 10 times easier. I want to give a big shout out to KALE the Leaf for his contribution to the video, his points and tips. Again, I can't recommend his videos enough. They're absolutely cracker. But one thing that I don't appreciate is the tone that you answer my questions, bro. Like, what's with that, man? Make sure you go ahead and check out the playlist of the Ready or Not playthrough series. Links in the description. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I hope you enjoyed not just this video, but those videos along the way. And speaking of enjoying the videos, if you did, cuzzy, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe. I'm currently pushing to hit 100 subscribers, sitting at 68 at the moment, so I need your love and support to make that happen. Go ahead and check out my social media. I've got a bunch of shorts and reels popping up on there at the moment, and I'm also going to be sharing details about upcoming videos, so it's the best way to stay tuned. And speaking of upcoming videos, the next series I'm playing through is Tekken. Yes, and listen, I learned from my mistakes with the Street Fighter series, all right? So stick around, make sure you go ahead and check them out, and until I see you next time, make sure you're looking after yourself, you take care, and be safe. All right, peace.